Hey everybody! Today we're going to take down, clean, inspect, and reassemble the Sig Sauer P320. Let's get started. First and foremost, we're going to assume that this firearm is loaded and we're going to clear it. Make sure that it is unloaded before working on the firearm. We will first depress the magazine release to drop the magazine from the firearm and inspect the magazine. We will see that there is no ammunition in the magazine, placing it off to the side. Pulling back on the slide without a magazine means the slide will not lock in the open position, so we will pull back on the slide and then raise the slide catch lever to hold the slide in the open position. Seeing clearly up into the barrel, we're confident that there is no round in the chamber. Looking down straight through to the bottom, there is no ammunition in this firearm. Again, once more, we inspect the chamber. We pull back on the slide to bring it back into the forward position. Now confident this weapon is cleared, we're ready for service. Next, we'll be separating the slide from the frame, or the grip module as they call it. We will pull back on the slide and lock it in the open position again by raising the slide catch lever. Next, we will draw our attention to the takedown lever here, which we will rotate to the 7 o'clock position. Now with a firm grasp on the slide, we will pull back and allow it to slowly come all the way forward and off the frame rails. We'll now draw our attention to the slide. With a slight amount of pressure on the recoil spring pushing towards the front of the slide, we can release the recoil spring from the barrel and put it off to the side. Then the rear of the barrel can be lifted up, pushed forward, and then back out of the slide. This would be the extent of slide disassembly for normal cleaning and inspection. This is the general disassembly of a P320 for a normal cleaning. I'll be using my standard pistol cleaning kit with associated attachments, along with my nylon brush, Q-tips, patches, FP10 gun oil, and Hops No. 9 solvent. Drawing our attention to the slide first, we will be looking at the underside and using a stiff gun cleaning brush with a patch, as well as some solvent on the patch. The patch will be placed over the bristles, and this patch brush combo will be used to start cleaning the underside of the slide, avoiding getting any solvent directly in the center around the striker and associated mechanics in the center of the slide in the rear. Being sure to pay attention to the rails on the sides of the underside of the slide, turning the brush on a slight angle to get into them. We see an accumulation of dirt forming on the patch. We keep going. Continuing on the rails on the forward portion of the slide on both sides. And confident there's not too much solvent on the patch, we go over the firing pin as well as the extractor. We don't want to get a lot of solvent in the hole where the firing pin would protrude. That would not be ideal, but we do want to clean around this area very well, so the patch should be wet but should not be dripping with solvent. There is an area just near the firing pin that might require some extra attention. This may be in fact recessed within the metal and not protruding like a carbon deposit. So I'll remove the patch and hit this area with just the brush, which is more stiff, to see if I can loosen anything up, and then wipe everything down with that patch and see what comes off. I also take a moment to position the patch to clean under the extractor, wiping back and forth. And wipe down this area one more time by the firing pin, where an inspection shows that these markings are actually in the metal. Finally, wiping down the underside of the rear of the slide one last time. And we take a look at all the dirt that's accumulated on this patch. Now all these areas are wiped down with a clean patch to remove any remaining solvent residue as well as any dirt that might be there. Also making sure to put a patch on the brush and getting in between these rails, making sure that all that dirt is removed from both sides. Still excessive dirt on this side, so it's going to need a little bit more cleaning. Once cleaned, we'll re-inspect. An inspection now shows this slide to be clean. We can continue on to our next piece. Next, we'll be cleaning the barrel. I have a bristle brush sized to the bore, in my case 357, all part of my cleaning kit, which I will assemble. Applying some solvent, I will clean the barrel from the breech or rear side of the barrel, making several passes in and out to loosen any dirt, and then I'll let it sit for a few minutes. Look at all the dirt that accumulated on that brush. Later, having cleaned the brush, I'll apply a clean patch to the brush, twist it around like so, and from the breech again, I will push a patch through, and that will clean out the inside of the bore. We'll take a look at that patch. We can see all the dirt that came out of that. Then I will unscrew the brush from the rod and pull the rod back through the barrel, reconnect the brush to the rod, and reapply a clean patch again, and keep doing this until the patches come out clean. This may take 5 or 6 times depending on the accumulation of dirt in the barrel and rifling. Eventually the inside of the barrel as well as the rifling will be free of any dirt upon visual inspection. A patch with solvent is then used to clean all the outer surfaces of the barrel. Once the outer portion of the barrel is completely cleaned after a few minutes with solvent applied, a clean patch is then used to wipe down the entire barrel to remove all the solvent. The barrel is finished for now and can be put off to the side. Working with the frame now, generally all that's required is a simple brushing with the nylon brush, cleaning out all of these areas for any dirt or debris. This could be followed with a patch to wipe all these areas down. Now with the patch, if excessive dirt is seen, then more action will need to be taken. If the takedown lever is not at the 7 o'clock position, rotate it to the 7 o'clock position. Then pull the takedown lever away from the frame till it's mostly out, rotating it to the 3 o'clock position. With that chamfer now pointed upward, we could pull it out and remove it. Grabbing onto these rails on the receiver, we can lift upwards and then forward to remove the assembly out of the frame. Now with both pieces separated, there's total access for cleaning. A patch or brush could be used to clean the separated grip module or a Q-tip for hard-to-reach areas. A patch or a patch with solvent can be used to clean this receiver assembly as necessary, now with a greater ability to clean as it's removed from the grip module. Since the takedown lever was removed, it'll be cleaned as well with a little bit of solvent. Inspect the takedown lever O-ring for any damage. Finally, the recoil spring assembly will be cleaned with the nylon brush, and then wiped down with the patch with a little bit of solvent on it. Oil is now applied to a clean patch, and the entire outside of the barrel gets a light sheen of oil, just a silhouette of oil on the metal. I realized I put on way too much because there was too much on the patch, but I am going to get all of those recesses. But once it's completely coated, I'm going to come back with a dry patch and remove all that excess oil from the metal. Assembling my brush once again, I take that patch with the oil on it, and from the back of the barrel, pushing it through to coat the inside and the rifling with oil. I will repeat this step a couple of times, and our now lightly oiled barrel is finished and ready to be put off to the side after an inspection shows everything is looking good. We'll continue our oiling now with the slide, starting at this area that's a rubbing surface we could see by the wear pattern. Also on the sides here as well and up front. Here we'll receive oil too along the sides as well. And you can see this patch just laying a thin sheen of oil down on this metal. A Q-tip will then be used to get a light amount of oil inside these rails on both sides. As well as these two areas up front on the slide. The recoil spring is also oiled with the patch. Then with my fingers just to distribute it. Unless the magazine got impacted with dirt, it can be lightly cleaned with a patch and shouldn't require any disassembly. The receiver will now be reinstalled into the grip module. Lowering it in first just to get part of the trigger into the trigger well, then push forward a little bit against the trigger will bring it further enough to drop the back in and down, locking it into position. Notice this protrusion inside causing an interference. We keep this in mind as we see it here on the takedown lever, turning it in that direction to accommodate that, roughly 7 o'clock. So we can push through, getting past that piece, and then turning again, bringing the lever to the 3 o'clock so the chamfer is upwards, and being able to push the other side of that lever into the other side of the frame. Now it's fully seated. Give it a quick function test by moving it back and forth a little bit, and we see that there's no binding. Bring it to the 7 o'clock position, and now it's ready for the next step. The barrel will now be placed in the slide, forward, and then back to lock in a position. A quick inspection shows everything seated properly. We'll continue on with the next step. Now the recoil spring assembly will be installed. This front portion, the thicker of both sides, will go to the front of the slide. It'll be inserted inwards into position, and then the spring slightly compressed from the rear to lock it onto the barrel and into position. We inspect and have a look from the side. With our takedown lever in the 7 o'clock position, we grab our frame as well as the slide and bring the rails into position and gently slide it back, and it can get a little caught up here. Sliding it back past this position, holding it back, we will lock the slide back by raising the slide catch, at which point we will rotate the takedown lever to the 3 o'clock position. Ensuring then that it is fully situated in the 3 o'clock position, we can pull back on the slide, which will release it, completing our reassembly. A quick function test, I'll squeeze the trigger, and we begin. Pull back on the slide, squeeze and hold the trigger, pull back on the slide, let go, click, squeeze again, click. The function test passed. Very good. Now I will put in an empty magazine, and when I pull the slide back, it should stay open in the locked position, and it does, so that test has passed. And here is what we've collected from this pistol. And that concludes this video on the disassembly, cleaning, inspection, and reassembly of this Sig Sauer P320 pistol. I hope you found this video enjoyable, entertaining, and informative. Do me a favor, hit that like button down below, helps me out a lot when you do, and hit that subscribe button for more videos like this when they come out. Again, I hope you enjoyed this video. Thanks for watching.
Thanks for watching. Would you like to reply?